Vibe with me for a second, all right? Let's go. Ah, man. DMX. Ah, missed that dude, huh? You know, the reason I even got this Cuban link, when I was getting it, I was thinking about DMX, real shit. I wanted something simple, not too flashy, but just kind of like, you know, me, I guess. And the first thing that came to my mind was X. It was a particular picture, actually. So, gimmicks versus optics. I just want to clarify something real quick because, you know, I feel like my last video was a little bit unclear on that. I don't have a problem with artists having gimmicks. In fact, I want to say I recommend it. To me, a gimmick is a visual representation of what your music is about, right? Like the soul of your music is a visual representation of you, right? And what you're bringing to the table musically. All the great rappers have probably a visual gimmick or some sort of gimmick, okay? So, for example, we're talking about DMX. DMX's whole gimmick was the dog, right? You know, he had like dog type chains and shit like that, right? You always saw him in a picture with a dog, right? That's a gimmick. That's a gimmick that I thought was dope, and it works because DMX's whole thing was he was very much like a pit bull. Like, you know what I mean? He had that aggression where he could get at you and really be dangerously violent. But he also had a like man's best friend loving side that dogs have. So he's trying to communicate that in his music, right? And that's why his music stopped being greedy, right? Like very just like super violent, right? Dark. But at the same time, you have something like How It's Going Down where he's a little more tender and he's like, you know, like a dog, chilled out and shit like that, right? So that's about musically what he's doing, or at least his soul, his expression. I ain't got a problem with that. Let's talk about, you know, speaking of gimmicks, because everyone loves to talk about Doom, right? I love this fucking joint. This is one of my favorite MF Doom records. His beat is dumb. You know, I hear voices. Supervillain. Okay. MF Doom. MF Doom's entire thing was a gimmick, right? In terms of, you know, he's wearing a mask, that's a huge gimmick. It's a brilliant gimmick. In fact, it's probably one of the greatest gimmicks in rap history. Now, what's the difference, right? So, why was it brilliant? It was brilliant because it told you a lot about who Doom was. Doom's whole music style is this sort of like Frank Zappa, weird, you know, slippery, smooth, you know, like I say, that Brazilian funk a bit, like jazz-like, but just strange. And that's his whole thing. His music was very strange, but it was dope. It was very smooth. You know, even the way he rhymed like this very, you know, nasty, like you look, freaky deaky, like you could catch me in local speakeasy or some shit. Like, you always had these tongue twister type shits, because that's what he is. Like, it's the villain, right? This very tongue twister type of rhymes, which MF Doom used to like, and it's very fun, right? But it's very slippery, and it's like the songs are short because that's villain shit. It's like you don't know exactly what he's talking about. You know, it's smooth, it's fly, it's cool. You know, he rhymes, and then he's out, right? And you're like, oh, he's gone. That's what a villain would do. You know, silver-tongued villain. Okay, that's a gimmick. It makes total sense. Okay, and the music represents that. You know, the soul of what he was putting out visually. The Mask is a perfect encapsulation of that shit. So I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is when we talk about the cult of personality, okay? And oh, one more example. Speaking of weirdo shit, let's talk about Missy real quick. Because Missy come out with the trash bag. That's a gimmick, but it's brilliant, right? Nobody got no problems with that shit. Because again, like Missy Elliott is coming at it with, look, listen, I do weird shit. I'm not your typical female. In fact, you're gonna probably dog me because, you know, I'm not as cute or whatever, or I'm not like the perfect curves, whatever. So I'm gonna just rock this trash bag and troll y'all for a second. But that's my music. My whole music is fun. It's, you know, strange, right? It's, you know, like, and even the way she was in the video, she was like doing this shit, the stutter, right? Because the beat's kind of stuttery. Again, all these things are music. They all come from the music, which is great. The music itself stands on its own and it's brilliant. and the music inspires these cool visual gimmicks. That's not the issue. The issue is the cult of personality. That's what I'm talking about. Optics is cult of personality shit. If you look up the definition of cult of personality, which I have on Wikipedia here, right? The result of an effort which is made to create an idealized and heroic image of a leader by a government, often through unquestioning flattery and praise. That's what I'm getting at. I'm getting at this need to praise a certain rapper or artist that has nothing to do with the music, honestly. It's like so tangential, but essentially I'm supposed to listen to this rapper because I'm supposed to buy into their praise, right? I relate to their praise, and I think that's whack, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. And that shit has become literally the standard for 99% of rappers out. And it don't matter whether you're underground or mainstream, because I see it everywhere. It's cult of personality shit, right? Perfect example between Missy and Lizzo, for example. Lizzo's whole thing, in my honest opinion, Lizzo's whole thing is she's a big girl. And I'm supposed to listen to Lizzo because she's a big girl and she's repping for big girls, right? That's a cult of personality because it doesn't tell me anything about the kind of music that Lizzo makes or, is anything about her soul. She's just a big girl, right? That's whack. To me, I don't give a shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Missy could have gone with that, right? But Missy is a talented rapper and a talented singer and artist. She didn't come out the gate being like, you should listen to me because big girls need a chance and you need to be listened to. Like, no, she came out on some creative shit and she just happened to be a big girl. Like, who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. There's a difference, right? One is optics / cult of personality shit, and the other is just a great artist doing talented shit, having a unique gimmick because there's something about the music that's unique. And that's what I'm getting at. I think that the game, unfortunately, has been beset by these kind of cult of personality types. And a lot of it is hero worship. It literally is. Like, that's how it's designed. And again, the problem with hero worship is that it's very generic. It doesn't tell you anything about the artist, right? Really, if you really sit and think about this shit, right? So, for example, like I said, Lizzo. What about her being big? What does that tell you about her music? Nothing. Because, ultimately, you being a big person is just, it's just a physical thing. It has nothing really to do with anything else, right? What does it say about your personality and things like that and the way you're approaching the music? I don't know shit. You're just a big girl. Okay, cool. But again, cult of personality shit. If I buy into that shit, that's cool. If I'm one of, and marketers know this. They're like, oh, there's a certain group of people that's just going to buy into that shit. So it's for them. But again, if I don't buy into it, then I don't listen to you and I don't care about your music. And if all your music is about just, essentially catering to this demographic first, and then making music that actually comes from a soulful place and is unique to you, secondary or tertiary, then obviously your music is going to be mediocre. To me, especially, right? Again, I give another example. I always like to bring up Kendrick. I'm not a fan. Kendrick and Kanye. Kendrick and Kanye, to me, have the same cult of personality. They're both accolade whores, if you excuse my language. They 100% are, and this is what I'm saying. Cult of personality shit is not specific. It doesn't tell you anything about the music that they make. That person's individual approach and what's unique about it. They both chase streams. They both chase, attention, like critical praise. Rolling Stone is basically, Kanye Stone for a very long time. Rolling Stone was literally selling the shit out of Kanye as being this visionary, mixed, genre. This guy who was so rooted in hip hop, but at the same time was like smarter than these other niggas. I've told you that. How people in the artsy fartsy, they love to use hip hop as sort of their grounding base while looking outside. And these magazines love to, latch onto these kind of people because they're not really hip hop fans in grand scheme of things. And they'll look at someone like Kanye and go, oh, Kanye's a fucking genius because, he's in hip hop, but he's really just looking outside. And these other, niggas are too stupid to like, they still want to rhyme, and keep it hip hop and gutter. But here's this Kanye visionary, right? Same shit that I see with Kendrick Lamar. I'm supposed to like Kendrick Lamar because Kendrick Lamar wins awards. Again, praiseworthy shit, okay? It's about the praise. Kendrick Lamar has these friends, Friends in high places. He wins all kinds of awards, right? He's a critical darling. I'm supposed to like Kendrick because of that shit. That's cult of personality. That's unflattering, unquestionable flattery, right? That's bullshit. It doesn't tell me anything about what Kendrick's approach to music is and what makes him special, right? What's his thing, right? That's what I'm getting at. And I think that's important, right? Because at the end of the day, if you have a genre that's filled with cult of personality shit, it's gonna get old real fast, and that's what you're seeing with rap. It's pretty much dead in that regard. All these new guys, it's just all cult of personality. And like I said, what kind of cornball are you? It's about what type of unquestionable flattery can I extract from this audience that they're gonna buy into. Whether it's I'm a guy from the street and I'm now here and I'm making all this money and I got a nice girl, you should like me because of that shit. Again, doesn't tell me anything about the music, how you're approaching the music that's different from anyone else or makes you you, right? It's very Xeroxy. And this is the thing about cult of personality. It can apply to just about anybody, right? I mean, it can apply to just about anybody in that sort of umbrella of whatever type of cult of personality that person's going for, right? That's what's corny about it. It's so generic and it's so catch-all that it just you already know what you're getting with that shit. You know you're not getting something special. You're just getting some generic shit. Oh, I'm from LA, so you should listen to me. He's an LA artist. He's the best thing to represent LA. What's that telling me about your music? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just supposed to praise you. If I'm from LA and I love LA, then I'm gonna naturally, try to check you out, or I might even dick ride you because you're from LA. But again, that's cult of personality shit. Doesn't mean anything, right? Music. And again, I'm not trying to knock people for liking what they like because ultimately taste is subjective in the grand scheme of things. But taste is it's not 100% subjective. That's a whole nother conversation. But the point is, I understand not everything that you're gonna like is what someone else is gonna like. That's not really what I'm getting at. What I am getting at is something a little bit more pernicious, right? Which has to do with marketing cult of personality, right? And once you start to do that so heavily, and the music business feeds off this shit and has been feeding off it for a very long time, obviously it's no surprise that stuff becomes weak because then who cares anymore, right? Literally anybody can come out the gate with whatever sort of type of cult of personality might be winning, right? Right now it's, LGBTQ, kind of. I mean, we see that with Lil Nas X, right? I'm supposed to like you because you represent this, group of people who I ain't got no issue with it at all. And I'm fine with them having representation because I think they're human like anyone else. But again, what is it about your music that I should check out? You can't just be gay. Like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? In the grand scheme of things, right? For example, I've mentioned Cakes Tequila in previous interviews, in videos I've done about this. But, I actually like the way Cakes raps. You know what I'm saying? I think, I get better beats. But the point is, that's someone, in terms of the way Cakes approaches the music, that's a little more interesting to me because there is an approach there, right? Him being being queer is like, oh, okay, cool. But, who cares, right? Almost like, but also like, it's not really the number one reason why I would listen to somebody, right? And again, I know that people listen to things and consume things for different reasons. But when you have an entire industry that's just pushing cult of personality, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get Z-grade music and a lot of narrative. That's all it is.